Empires fell, scrolls burned. But the truth survived, hidden, waiting. Now, through time itself, we uncover what history tried to erase. Truth through time. Faith, history, secrets the world forgot.
Episode 6, The Edict of Milan. The day Christianity became legal. The day Rome changed forever. It was a moment that reshaped not just an empire, but the entire course of Western civilization. In 313 AD, two Roman emperors signed a document that would end centuries of persecution, restore shattered churches, and give Christians a legal place in a world that once hunted them. The Edict of Milan. But this wasn't just a law. It was a signal to the world. The empire that once crucified Christians was now protecting them. So how did this reversal happen? What forces, political, personal, and spiritual, led Rome to embrace the very faith it tried to crush? In this episode, we step into one of the most important turning points in religious history and uncover how Christianity moved from the shadows of the catacombs into the heart of imperial power. Part 1. Before the edict, blood in the sand. For over 2 centuries, Christianity had been an outlawed faith in the Roman Empire. From Nero's brutal scapegoating in 64 AD to Diocletian's great persecution starting in 303, Christians were arrested, tortured, and executed for refusing to worship Rome's gods, or the emperor himself. Roman emperors believed religious unity was key to political stability. Worshipping the traditional gods was seen not just as piety, but loyalty. Christians threatened that unity. They refused to sacrifice. They claimed exclusive truth. Their stubborn faith looked, to Roman eyes, like rebellion. Candida Moss, professor of theology, explains. Rome saw Christianity not as a spiritual movement, but as a subversive force. It questioned everything that made Rome feel secure, its gods, its power, its traditions. And so, wave after wave of violence followed. But despite the bloodshed, the faith grew. Underground communities expanded. Martyr stories spread. Persecution didn't kill Christianity, it proved it could not be broken. By the early 4th century, Rome was fractured, politically and spiritually. And from that fracture, something new began to rise. Part 2, A Divided Empire, and a new emperor rises. At the start of the 4th century, the Roman Empire wasn't ruled by one emperor, but 4. It was called the Tetrarchy, a system designed by Emperor Diocletian to prevent civil war. But after Diocletian retired, everything unraveled. One by one, rival claimants fought for power. Among them, Constantine, the son of Constantius, a former emperor in the West. And in 312 AD, Constantine made a daring move. He marched toward Rome to face his rival Maxentius in battle. The night before that decisive battle, the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, Constantine claimed to have had a vision. A symbol appeared in the sky, the Chi, the Greek letters for Christ. According to Christian writer Lactantius, a voice told Constantine. The next day, Constantine ordered his soldiers to paint the Christian symbol on their shields. He won the battle and became emperor of the Western Roman Empire. Whether the vision was divine or political, Constantine believed it meant one thing: the Christian God had given him victory. Part 3, The Edict of Milan. A new law for a new world. In 313 AD, Constantine met with Licinius, co-emperor of the East, in the city of Milan. Together, they drafted a proclamation that would echo through history. It declared that Christians, and all others, could worship freely. It ended state-sponsored persecution. Property seized from churches would be returned. Bishops and clergy would be released from prisons and mines. We grant both to Christians and to all men freedom to follow the religion which each may choose, that each may have the free opportunity to worship as he pleases. This was more than tolerance, it was recognition. Historian Peter Leithart notes, "The edict didn't make Christianity the state religion, but it removed the barriers to its public life. It allowed the church to breathe. The empire was still pagan, but for the first time, Christianity could come into the light and grow without fear." Part 4. The Rise of a Christian Emperor. After the edict, Constantine did more than allow Christianity. He began to actively support it. He funded church construction, most famously the old St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. He granted bishops special privileges. He called the First Council of Nicaea in 325 to resolve theological disputes. Christianity was no longer a persecuted sect. It was now a part of imperial politics. But Constantine's motives remained debated. Was he truly converted? Or was Christianity just a unifying tool in a fractured empire? Historian Ramsay McMullen argues, Constantine's Christianity was as political as it was personal. He saw in the Church a force that could unify where Rome's traditions had failed. Yet there's no doubt that Constantine's support reshaped the Church. The faith of martyrs was now the faith of emperors. Constantine's involvement also brought Christianity unprecedented access to imperial influence. Bishops were treated like senators. Church leaders were consulted on policy. Christian values began influencing Roman law. A religion that was once whispered in catacombs now echoed in marble halls. Part 5. From persecuted to powerful, a new era begins. With imperial favor came rapid change. Churches grew in number and grandeur. Christian leaders gained influence. Pagan temples were sometimes repurposed. By the end of the 4th century, under Emperor Theodosius I, Christianity would become the official state religion. But this shift also brought tension. Some Christians feared that imperial backing would compromise the church's purity. Could a faith born in the blood of martyrs survive the gold of the palace? Historian Henry Chadwick writes, "The danger was not persecution, but success. When the church gained favor, it had to guard its soul. Monastic movements began to rise, fleeing into deserts and mountains to preserve the simplicity of early faith. They saw the edict not as an end, but the beginning of a new test. And beyond Rome's borders, Christianity was still risky. In Persia, believers faced suspicion as Roman sympathizers. The edict brought safety within the empire, but not safety everywhere." Part 6. What the edict left behind. The Edict of Milan didn't erase persecution, it relocated it. In regions beyond Rome's reach, Christians still suffered. In Persia, conversion could mean death. Even within the empire, internal Christian debates led to new conflicts: Arians versus Nicenes, Donatists versus Catholics. But for millions, the edict meant peace, healing, and a future. It was not just a legal moment. It was a cultural and spiritual shift. It declared, this faith, once mocked and hunted, had outlived emperors. It had endured lions, fire, prisons, and now it stood in basilicas, sang in public, and buried its dead with honor. The transformation was monumental. Christian architecture began defining skylines. Pilgrimage routes formed. Martyrs' tombs became places of prayer and power. Christianity had not only survived, it had arrived. Conclusion: faith legalized but not finished. The Edict of Milan did not end the Christian story. It began a new chapter, one filled with challenges, triumphs, and transformation. Rome didn't become Christian overnight, and Christianity didn't stay unchanged. But from that moment forward, the empire that tried to kill the church now gave it a throne. And yet, the real power of the church was never in palaces. It was in people, in hearts transformed, in truth remembered. The edict was a declaration, but the testimony of centuries still speaks louder. No sword could silence the gospel. No fire could consume its hope. And no empire, no matter how vast, could kill an idea.
Subscribe and tap the bell icon to walk with us through powerful stories of faith and history. Thumbs up like if this episode touched you. Speech balloon comment to share your thoughts or reflections in comment section.